In the world of AI, it feels like every few months there's a new idea that promises to change absolutely everything. And earlier this year, one of those ideas really felt different. It was this concept of building software not by writing code, but by just describing what you want. It felt like the future had finally, truly arrived.
And the person who really gave this idea a name was Andrej Karpathy, co-founder of OpenAI, one of the sharpest minds in the game. Back in February, he painted this incredible picture of a future where you could just vibe your way to a finished app. You just talk to an AI and it would do all the heavy lifting. A total revolution, right?
Okay, so hold that thought of a coding revolution, because if vibe coding was the future in February, you'd think you'd be even more pumped about it by October. Well, not quite. Yep, that's the same Andrej Karpathy, just 8 months later, talking about AI agents. He went from forget the code exists to they just don't work. So what on earth happened in those 8 months? That's the puzzle we're going to solve right now.
All right, let's dive in. To get why there was such whiplash, we first have to understand why everyone got so incredibly excited about this idea of vibe coding in the first place. So the crucial idea here isn't just about using AI to help you code. No, it's about letting the AI write all of the code. The human completely steps away from the keyboard. You become the director, not the typist. You just guide the AI with plain English, you test what it builds, and you give it feedback.
And the process itself looked almost too simple. You just tell the AI your idea, it spits out the code, you run it, and then you tell the AI, hey, that's not quite right, or can you add this feature? It's this simple loop where you never have to get lost in all the semicolons and syntax. You just focus on the big picture.
And this was the dream, right? If you don't actually need to know a programming language, then suddenly anyone with a good idea can build software. I mean, a journalist for the New York Times who wasn't a professional coder even used it to build little apps for himself. The barrier to entry just seemed to vanish overnight.
But as startups and engineers started trying this for more than just little side projects, that dream pretty quickly ran headfirst into a very harsh reality. You could say the vibe soured fast.
And man, the narrative just fell apart. In February, it's the next big thing. By May, we're getting reports of massive security holes. By July, a total catastrophe. An AI agent from Replit literally deleted a company's live database. And by September, the buzzword wasn't vibe coding anymore. It was the vibe coding hangover.
And look, this wasn't just one or two little accidents. A security audit of a single startup called Lovable found that 170 of its AI-generated apps had serious vulnerabilities that could leak personal info. 170. That's not a bug. That's a systemic failure.
And this was the hangover. Instead of freeing up developers to be more creative, vibe coding just created this new nightmarish job trying to fix and secure this tangled mess of code that no human on the team had actually written or even fully understood. They called it development hell.
Which brings us right back to our central mystery. How could Karpathy be so optimistic and then so pessimistic in the same year? Was he just wrong back in February? Or did something fundamental change?
Well, it turns out the answer is that he was talking about two completely different things. This whole puzzle hinges on what somebody actually means when they use the term AI agent. Okay, this right here is the key to the whole story. When most people today talk about AI agents, they mean the thing on the left, basically an LLM using a few simple tools in a loop. But when Karpathy was talking in October, he was holding it to a much, much higher standard. He was talking about a true agent, something that's more like a virtual human employee that you could actually trust with complex work.
And the AIs we have today? They're just not there yet. They're missing all the key ingredients. They don't have continual learning. You can't just teach it something once and expect it to remember it forever. They're cognitively lacking, meaning they fall apart when you give them a new or complex problem. And maybe most importantly, they're just not reliable. You can't trust them with the keys to the kingdom.
So when you put it all together, his original vision wasn't really wrong at all. Vibe coding, using the simple agents we have today, is fantastic for exactly what he first talked about, building prototypes fast, making personal tools, or fun little weekend projects you might just throw away. The mistake was when the industry hype machine tried to use that same technique for critical production-level software.
So, where does that leave us? If this wasn't the year of the agent after all, what does the future of AI development really look like?
Karpathy himself gives us the answer. We just need to zoom out. Getting to those true agents, those reliable virtual employees, it's not going to be a one-year leap. It's more like a decade-long project to solve these huge, fundamental problems of learning, reasoning, and reliability.
Really, the story of vibe coding is a perfect lesson in the AI hype cycle, where excitement just gets way ahead of the actual capability. Real progress isn't going to come from one next big thing. It's going to be slow, steady, incremental work. And one of the biggest roadblocks is just the data. As Scarpathy put it so bluntly, these models are trained on the internet, and a lot of the internet is total garbage, which limits how much they can really understand.
And that leaves us with this final, really critical question. The story of vibe coding is a perfect case study of a really promising tool being totally misused because of hype. As these tools get even more powerful, the challenge for all of us is going to be learning how to look past the buzz and really understand what they're truly good for, and, maybe even more importantly, what they're not.